Hi, I'm Juanita and welcome back to the Knit Guru. Now what you're going to be noticing first of all is a change of location, but I'm hoping desperately that the change of location will make up for the fact that what we're about to review is one of the shortest what have I been working on this month since the very first one that I ever filmed. So it has been ridiculously busy in the month of February. But we're getting closer. This room is almost finished. Almost. Everything you see is finished. The rest of it isn't finished at all. But you know, you're currently in a wardrobe. There are no doors on the wardrobe. That's another thing. There is a door that's supposed to go over there. Both of these doors are painted, but they're not yet installed. The bathroom is not yet a bathroom, but the ensuite is close. But because we're off-grid, we need to get everything done, and the electrician is hooking everything up, and then the plumber can come and hook everything up, and then the solar guy can come and hook everything up. And at that point, it will all work because we need the electricity, because it's power, and then we need the water pump, which is run from the electricity. But at least the water tanks are full. It's been that kind of summer. So what have we finished? Technically nothing. Technically. But in reality, two things that have been on the agenda for quite some time. The first one is the daisy blanket. Now this daisy blanket was bought from a kit. There'll be a whole video on this daisy blanket because it's not unbeautiful. It's very nice. It's just not really a usable size. Like, I can't say that it's not really a cot blanket size. It's not a throw blanket size. It's not any actual functional usable size, which is the biggest issue. It is made with these Crochet Daisy granny squares. I think it's technically the calendula one that I used. The kit had issues. You know, the pattern was very sparse, so in order to make the pattern work, I had to retroactively look at the picture on the outside to work out what I needed to make. I ran out of the white yarn, but nothing else. I still need to steam block it because this is all acrylic. And if I steam block it, I'm hoping that the scallops at the end won't roll over so much. But I still have a handful of ends from this last border to darn in. So there's probably about 20 minutes worth of work left, and then this one's done. But there were no instructions for a border at all in the pattern. I just kept bordering until I ran out of yarn, pretty much, in the hopes that I could make it a usable size. And it's definitely a more usable size than it once was. It's just still really, really tiny. Does it match this room? The morning light here is making it look like it matches this room. It doesn't. This is definitely more of a golden yellow, and that's definitely orange. So the daisy blanket was the first thing off the hook. There were a couple of ideas that I could have done with this daisy blanket. One of the ideas was to enter it in the AMP show last November. Clearly it wasn't finished for then. Another one was that it could become part of a Christmas gift for my niece because there was a blanket that was going to be made for my nephew. But I didn't finish the blanket for my nephew or this one either. Then I thought it could have been part of her birthday present at the end of January, which obviously that didn't happen. So I honestly have no idea what to do with this. Maybe it will become a present at some point, but at least we're 20 minutes from finishing it. More importantly, and this was finished technically on Sunday, the 1st of March. But the bit that I finished on Sunday, the 1st of March, was still before I got out of bed in the morning. So before breakfast, does it even count? Oh, I made a coffee. I don't know what I've done with my coffee. Oh well. This is my Advent sweater. I won't stand up and put it on because, again, you're sitting in a closet right now. But this is the one that, it's Prosper Yarns from their Notes from a Southern Land. Notes from a Southern Land? I think it's Field Notes from a Southern Land. Yarn Advent from 2025. This was the first yarn colour, this one that matches my flesh a little too well. So this was supposed to be my Christmas project, that I was going to be knitting this, and by Christmas Day I would have finished one of each ball, and then between Christmas Day and New Year's I was going to be able to add some of this dark grey that I bought as an extra skein for the cuffs and neck. But I finished it and discovered that I didn't like the size that I made. Basically, I'm between sizes, and I put on a lot of weight while I was concussed because I was under a lot of bed rest. So I figured I'll go to the slightly smaller size. I also figured that would make the yarn last longer, because I was a little bit concerned that I was going to not have enough yarn to make an adult size jumper out of just advent calendar yarn. However, what I discovered was that not only did I have a jumper that it fit, but it was tight. Like, it was tight. I could have worn maybe a camisole or a singlet underneath it, but it was very much clinging to me in the moment. And I did then figure, in the event that I don't lose my concussion weight, and this is now the size that I am forevermore, I thought I'll change the size. So I undid the whole thing. And in January, I started it from scratch. And in starting it from scratch, I adapted a few things. The first one was that this grey yarn was one of the last yarns to get unboxed, but I started with this grey because I didn't want to have this flesh colour up by my face. So I figured the grey, it's a neutral, that works fair. I'm very pleased with my choice of this one here. It's called Rubber Sole. I used to think it was called Gumboot, but it's basically the colour of gumboots. Is very similar to this grey here. I'm very congested at the moment. I think I have picked up whatever is going around. I'm just hoping that it's not a COVID variant at this point. I reorganised where the colours were going, which meant that I did not end up with an entirely brown sweater in the middle, because I'm not really aware of browns in the slightest. In fact, it's a bad thing to say, but brown and green and red are the things that I don't really wear or enjoy. And yet, this has got a lot of browns and greens. Greens. The next one, neutral. So occasionally, this month has had a lot of neutrally bits in it, which is kind of strange. And I'm wearing a green, but it's got yellow flowers. And my pants are loud, so... However, my Advent yarn jersey is finished, finally. Have I darned in any of the ends? No. Not a single end has been darned. And there are at least 25 ends. There's actually more than that, isn't there? There's at least 50 ends, because there's 25 balls of yarn. One of them is the dark grey that I've used around the neck. Now, the pattern I started with was the Ursina jumper. I'll try and remember to link it in the description. It doesn't have this band around the neck, but I've put it on there because I just wanted a little bit more structure and cohesion. That's a good phrase. I have put 2 rows of the grey at the end of my incredibly long cuffs because I wanted to use up all the yarn. And then I do have a deep cuff at the bottom, which I'm still on the fence as to whether or not I should have made longer. I don't think I really need to have made it longer, but working out the proportions of it all, because it always looks long when it's stockinette, because everything goes as you're knitting it, but then you put it on and it goes, and as it goes, you know. So I didn't want it to end up looking like a minuscule band, so I've done quite a bit there. Good times. Right. There will be a video on this. However, I've got over 50 ends to darn in, as is. What else have I worked on this month? Those things are finished as long as we don't deem darned and ends as being finished. I went to the premiere of, well, one of the local premieres of Wuthering Heights. And I will leave it there. Not the Wuthering Heights that I read and enjoyed. It was an interesting, good movie, and the costuming is interesting, and the design elements are interesting. But it's not Wuthering Heights. It's Wuthering Heights inspired. And while I was there, it was a knit along, so I started a new project. So this here is the library card vest. I haven't actually touched it since the movie. So this is one Wuthering Heights length of knitting. There is part of me that would like to undo it and knit it up on a 4.5mm needle, because I feel like this is quite a tight weave. But I know it needs to be, because there's a lot of intarsia and duplicate stitch for the writing on the library card itself. But what is interesting, I did go and buy a pattern for this one. I wasn't going to, but I did. And I found this one where this bit here is basically the shoulder at the back. But then I'm going to pick up these stitches and then they're going to go over the top. So I figured it's not a bad thing to buy this pattern because it's interesting nonetheless. This bit keeps rolling over, so I'm assuming at some point we're picking this up and adding, you know, the band at the top. I did change the beginning bit, and I feel like I've just changed the beginning bit too soon. I feel like I'm going to get to the end and find that what I changed with this first row is going to affect the last element of this jumper. It'll be fine. I'll make it work. When Anita buys a pattern, immediately goes off pattern, suddenly realised that maybe following the pattern was a good idea, even though she didn't like the sound of what it looked like at the start. Does that sound familiar? No, not me. I'm way more sensible than that. However, that's it. That is literally all I have knit in the month of February. Yes, February is a short month. But it's basically also all that I've cooked. We've done a lot of takeaways. We've done a lot of painting. We've done a lot of work on the house because we had a set date from the flooring company that they were coming in to install the flooring. We did have the option of extending it out, but I said, no, let's just go for it. Let's just do the thing. So that's what we did. We just did the thing. We went for it. We haven't finished the painting. I still have numerous doors and windows to do. The father-in-law's helping me with those as well. So there's a lot more work that needs to happen on the house. And that doesn't even include the connecting of the power or the water. But hopefully the electrician will finish today or tomorrow. And hopefully during this week or next weekend, we'll have the bathroom finished and we'll be ready to get the plumber in. And then hopefully we're getting closer to moving in. I would like to be moved in ASAP. I do not want to be moving in over Easter. I do not want to be moving in over the school holidays. I do not want to be moving in after the school holidays. I would like to enjoy this next school holiday in the house because the last year has been so hard. Like just so hard. And being concussed and living tiny, I just need some space. I need some space, I need some sleep, I need all the things. And I'm starting to sound like a spoiled princess, but that's, you know, that's it. So what am I working on other than the house? I'm going to do Snoopy because of the 12 cast-ons of 2025. I've got my library card vest. This is now one cast-on almost finished as soon as I darn in the ends. I'm one down. I would like to have the vest and Snoopy finished this month. If I can get the vest and Snoopy finished this month, I will be on track to that loose goal of one of the 12 cast-ons every month finished. But I am aware of the fact that by picking Snoopy, I think Snoopy's the smallest task on on my completion list. So it's a bit of a cheats one in doing Snoopy, but this one won't be such a small one. So we'll see how we go. Those are my two main ones, and I do need to have a look at my Easter Bunny again, because there's a knitting pattern for an Easter Bunny up on my website, but I've been working on and off for the last 2 Easters a crocheted version of the Easter Bunny, and unfortunately I only think about it when we get close to Easter, and the rest of the time I'm like, I've got all year to work on my Easter Bunny crochet pattern, and then I don't do it. So there's that. It has been a busy year though. I'm using that as an excuse, building a house and getting concussed. Yeah. Anyway, that's all from me today. If you want to see what else I've knit and crocheted in a month, there'll be a whole playlist linked in this video. And if you want to stick along and subscribe and find out whether or not I finished this vest or done in those ends at any future point, by all means do so. Leave a comment down below. I love responding to comments. I am well aware of the fact that I have mentioned things that should be tagged in the description box below or inserted here, and I won't have done them because that always seems to happen. Enjoy the chaos. In the meantime, I will see you next week. Bye.